Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Bravo Zulu podcast. I might have missed one episode already in this short year. Look, I'm staying busy. I'm doing things. And, you know, where's my buttons? There's my buttons. Now you can see me. Now you don't. All right. I told you I had a shipmate, a shipmate that is much smarter and knows a lot more things about mental health and things like that, right? And so I reached out to this person because we talked about this before. I said maybe we could do this, and they were doing some things that they weren't ready. So I said, hit me up when you're ready, or I'll hit you up. So I hit them up, and now we have Alexis with us. Alexis is an old shipmate of mine. Okay, we go way back to our Rushmore days when I was a Weasley little first class, and she was a Weasleyer little fireman out there on them deck plates doing sounding and security, just grinding away into the pit that the Rushmore was. Everyone, welcome to the show, Alexis. How you doing, Alexis?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And you know, big shout out to you and your journey through the Navy. We were just talking about this just right before we started, right? Like, much respect and appreciation, and it's an honor to still be your friend in social media ways where I can see you grow up in the Navy, where you went from that fireman, right? Like undesigned fireman to a lieutenant junior grade. You've commissioned now. You are a clinical social worker. Why don't you just take us through a little bit of your like early Navy journey and where, like, just the early Navy journey into where you're at now.
Oh my gosh, you're taking me back like over a decade. For real.
It grows on you quick.
Yes.
Be careful.
Real quick.
Yep.
It's been over 12 years now since I've been in the service. But we started at the Rushmore. Joined undesignated, no rank, no rate. I had nothing. I was starting from ground zero. I was a scrub. That's what I called it. Scrub. Came from nothing, but it was hard. It wasn't easy. You know, being on Rushmore was difficult.
Yeah.
It was hard. You saw me on my lowest while I was there. But while I was there, I struck DC, and I did that for a little bit, and then I thought, okay, active duty is too much. So I washed my hands of it, and I was like, let me go into the reserves and see what that's about. Did that for 8 years. It was cool. At that point, I had cross-rated from DC to AZ. So whole different part of the Navy, going from the engineering part of the Navy to the aviation side of the Navy. I mean, complete 180 almost. Did that, May 2nd, because it was like 100%. And then I went to my squadron. I was there, worked really hard, was grinding and everything. I was doing active duty orders. I wasn't on active duty. I was just doing active duty orders as a reservist. They noticed the hard work, dedication, and then they met me to first. That was cool, and I was like, this is all great, but now I want to get my master's. I want to finish my schooling in social work. Finished that. I started working my first civilian job at a nonprofit doing mental health therapy with teens, and then some adults later. And then they were like, hey, the Navy has social workers. I was like, what? And then went through the process of commissioning, the package, all that good stuff. So this is where I'm at. I just summed up my 12 years pretty much in like 60 seconds.
Yeah,
that's pretty much how I got here.
Who was it that recruited you or kind of put you on to the Navy social working area? Was it just someone, like, was it a career counselor at the squadron you were at, or like who kind of guided you down that path?
My mom, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she told me to just do some research, and I'm like, the Navy don't have no social workers. And you'd be surprised that a lot of people now are not aware that the Navy has clinical social workers. I just learned this stuff about 4 years ago, so I didn't know about it until more recently. She told me to look into it. I looked into it, and I said, oh my gosh. So but I ignored it at first. I thought I wasn't good enough. I thought I was not good enough to do it. I thought I wasn't. I don't work hard enough. I don't do this and this enough. It was imposter syndrome. I'm not saying I'm not doing it.
What do you mean? Like, how does that great imposter syndrome there? I feel that too regularly. But what would make you think you don't work hard enough? Like, as we were talking, like, you came from that fireman struggle. Like, what was it in your own mind, like, kind of blocking you from that at first?
Comparison. Looking at other sailors, junior and senior, and compare myself. I'm like, I don't get the same evals. I don't have the same PRT scores. I feel like I wasn't competitive enough. So I said, yeah, they want the best of the best. I thought our leadership was cool. I thought it was pretty decent. But I'm like, you have to be well-rounded. And at the time, I thought I wasn't, because I was too busy comparing myself to, some random Joe around the way. And I'm like, you actually are pretty competitive. I just didn't believe it at first. It took a while.
Was there anyone active duty that kind of helped you realize how competitive you were?
Yes, actually. When I was stationed at HSM 60 back in Jacksonville, so over that before, my chain of command was amazing. I mean, the best chain of command I have ever been directly involved with. And honestly, because of their leadership and their mentorship for me, I think that's how I got here today, to be honest. They were the ones who were like, we want your evals and everything, give us what you got. And I would give it to them. And they would chop and screw it or whatever, give it back, and next thing you know, I'm getting EPs left and right. And I was like, y'all just being nice. But no, that was really, that was my stuff.
Yeah. So you get into that. You just got commissioned. You just finished up ODS, right? It wasn't, ODS. Take us through like you building your package and submitting it. Like, what are you feeling at the time? What are you going through? How are you preparing for it? Everything like that. For other aspiring officers out there that are right now slumming, doing wipers, like, it is possible. Can you share a little bit of that so to help them out so they don't have that same imposter syndrome?
Yeah, you said wipers, not just. You said wipers. I think it was a build, you being dark, my hands being dirty. Oh my goodness. But the process is challenging, but I feel like it's not hard. You're not doing it right. You're not doing it right if it's really, really easy. It should be hard. And it was hard from beginning all the way to the end. But there's a checklist. Like, the Navy has streamlined how to do things now. Everything has a checklist. Everything's on black and white. So follow the checklist. Attention to detail. Attention to detail. Attention to detail. That's how people get denied or they're not selected. Mm-hmm. So the checklist is pretty black and white. Get you a recruiter who actually cares, and then go through the checklist. Find someone who's already done it in your specific field.
Yep.
And then ask for support. But before you do that, make sure you get the instruction for yourself. So my mentor, he is great. As a matter of fact, he's going to be a mentor until he retires, because he's great. And I thought he was being mean to me when I sought help for my package. I thought he was being mean. But in hindsight, he was actually being very helpful. He was like, I'm not holding your hand to this thing. You need to do it. I've answered your questions, but first, did you do research?
Yeah.
Did you seek the answer first? So for those who are seeking it, get a mentor first. Someone who's in this knee deep. Someone who's already commissioned. Someone who's already gone through this. So get a good mentor before you start putting in that package and everything. Tell them your intentions, because if you don't, it's not going to make any sense. And then you're wasting not only your time, but their time too.
Absolutely. We speak highly of mentors on here. I've had a mentor throughout my career. He retired 2019. Really, unfortunately, as I made chief, I really lost mentors, right? Like, I have not been able to find another chief, senior chief, master chief that I could relate to and mentor to help me through my career. Good or bad, indifferent, I don't know. But, like, I love them. Like, mentors are there, right? I think nowadays the Navy is really going to, like, the coaching, and maybe this can get into some of your clinical social work and how we change words and stuff like that, and then the differences and all that. But absolutely, I think a lot of times sailors mix it up, thinking that mentor's there to, oh, here, let me do it for you. Let me show you exactly. Here, just copy paste mine and things like that. When really that mentor should, as you just said, should be challenging you so you could become better. Right. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that is like going and figuring it out on your own. They point you in the direction, right? But you still got to find your own heading through there, right? You still got to get to the end of it. So it's great. So was this mentor of yours, are they a clinical social worker also, or was it?
He is.
Yeah.
He's
okay.
Also a clinical social worker, yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. I want to be sure, because it doesn't have to be. It's one of those things where I'm sure on the ship you heard it a lot, where like, every command's always starting to, or even when you're at the squadron, start up a mentorship program, right? A command mentorship program. And it's like, well, I don't want my mentor to be in my rate. I want them to be outside my rate. I'm not comfortable with the people in my rate or whatever it is. But if you're in that rating, Like, doesn't it make some sense that your freaking mentor is in your rating, right? Like, right. And then if the perfect example is for you, like, yes, other people could have shown you how to put together a package, but it's not the same package that you're going for, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I was going to say, I had someone ask for my help putting together that, like the package for nursing. And I was like, showing you my package I feel is not going to help you because the outline is not the same, the instruction is not the same.
Yeah.
So she asked to see mine, and I said no. I said no only because it didn't make any sense for me to show her mine because it wouldn't have benefited her. She wanted to see my bio, and I was like, no. Not to be mean or anything, but I'm like, write your own. Write what you think should be on there. Find an example or whatever. I said, but showing you mine, I feel will not be very helpful because mine is centered around what I'm doing.
Right.
So she asked me my package. I mean, I didn't say shut up, like, girl, hell no. That's not what I did. I just told her, I was like, you see mine, I think it's not going to be helpful. Now she did have some questions that I could answer, but for the most part, her path is her own, and I encouraged her to get a mentor who's already successful in nursing. Get someone who's already commissioned, someone who's already done all that, because my package is so different from your package.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's right. Again, you gotta say no sometimes, right? You gotta say no. You gotta learn how to say it.
She understood where I was coming from. I gave her the same explanation. I told her that showing her mine wouldn't have benefited her in any way, to be honest. So
awesome. So let's get into you. You were already, because you said you were going to get back to your master's. So in your reserve time, you'd already gotten your bachelor's in social work, and you were doing that when you were not on active orders, or how were you doing the reserve time there with social work?
Oh, that's a great question. Actually, I was busy. So between me going into the reserves, so literally I went into the reserves right after active duty. So maybe a month after I left active duty, I started working on my associates.
Okay.
And then I had gotten my associates because I was on the fast track and I was taking a bunch of classes and I wasn't working either. I got my associates in like 18 months and then I rolled right into my bachelor's, and that took me about, I don't know, 24 months. And then literally right after that, I rolled right into my master's. So my degrees are back to back. I never took a break because I wanted to just get it out the way.
Yeah.
So from start to finish, it took me 6 years total. The master's takes about 5 to 6 years to finish. I had a small break because I decided to go to Spain and do a stand-up command for HSM 79. And that was like my 9-month break that I didn't have going to school. But I did all my degrees while I was a reservist.
And so some of that was while you're activated, right?
Yep.
Okay, so then are you using TA? Or are you using your own, like, GI Bill? Like, what are you, is it a combination?
So I did not use TA. Reservists don't qualify for TA anymore.
Okay.
Unfortunately, so that sucks. But I used my GI Bill, which covered all of my degrees up to the first few classes of my master's. Because you get 36 months. I used all 36 months for my associates, my bachelor's, literally just 2 or 3 classes of my master's degree. And then I finished the rest with student loans.
Okay. Have you applied to get those forgiven?
I have not, but it's on my checklist because that would be nice.
Yes. and don't forget about your FAFSA. Well, you're not in school no more, or are you still going back for something?
Absolutely not. I am done. I'm done.
You're good on it now.
I spent so much time. No, I'm done. I'm good. I don't need doctorate, nothing. I don't need doctor so-and-so. I don't care about all that. A master's is good enough.
All right. So you get your bachelor's. You're in the reserves. You start working for this nonprofit. Well, let's back up a little bit because I think it's important that, and I don't want to skip over this. What in the beginning drives you towards social worker stuff?
Service.
Just in a different way?
All about service. All about servitude. Right? Gratitude is great. It's when we receive something and we're grateful for it. But I prefer servitude over anything else. I enjoy serving. Like literally, spiritually, I just enjoy serving. I think that's why I thrive in the military because that's exactly what we're doing. We're serving our country. We're serving our sailors or whomever that you're working with at the time. But I love serving in the capacity of helping people overcome any type of mental health challenges. Sometimes it's not mental health always. It can be personal. It can be familial. It can be cultural. But for me, it's like, how do I help you heal? How do I help you get back to regular functioning? So it's service. Social work is all about servitude, and I love doing that. I find that that's my niche. That's where I thrive. That's where I feel the happiest. Where I feel the most confident too.
That's profound right there. The most confident. That's pretty cool. So, what is the difference between like a psychiatrist and a social worker? Because something that I see a lot of, right, whether I'm looking through Reddit at the horrible information that's getting put out there, or even just out on the deck plates when we're talking to sailors, right? Something that often comes across is, oh, you're having like a mental problem or something, right? You're whatever's going on, just go talk to chaplain. And it's like chaplain is the scapegoat for mental health when chaplains are not there for mental health. Like, you could go talk to chaplain if you need to get some shit off your chest and just completely just let it go. Sure, maybe a great place. But chaps isn't a psychiatrist and they're not a social worker. So what is the difference between you as a clinical social worker and a full-on, and I say full-on because I'm not smart enough to know the difference, like psychiatrist, and like what is your lane, what is their lane, and like how help us navigate that?
A psychiatrist is someone who can prescribe medication.
Okay.
A clinical social worker cannot prescribe medication. We can't even recommend someone take medication.
Okay.
A clinical social worker is someone who provides a myriad of services, but in my case, I'll be providing mental health services, either inpatient, outpatient, more specifically for me. So psychiatrists, you would go to the practice and you would go to their office and they would evaluate you based off of your symptoms and stuff like that, and they would prescribe you medication. They have a PhD. They are a doctor in such and such.
Okay.
Clinical social workers that you find in the military will have a master's at the least. A doctor if they pursue that, but it's not required. So that's the biggest difference. We provide pretty much therapeutic services, group therapy, services that are related to stimulating the psyche. Psychiatrists, they're going to give you medication based off of your symptoms. So let's just say I make a referral as a clinical social worker saying, this patient is experiencing X, Y, and Z, and then you send the referral off to the psychiatrist based off of the symptoms that are in their notes, then the psychiatrist would then issue prescribed medication for that person.
Okay, so I don't need to like see and talk to both a clinical social worker and a psychiatrist. If I'm talking to a social worker, I just got to get my meds from the psychiatrist. That's really the biggest difference, is the medication prescribing.
Yep, medication prescribing. I can't do that, but a psychiatrist can.
Okay, but do the conversations between like a patient and either caregiver or whatever, medical person, the patient, myself, and the psychiatrist or social worker, it's the same conversations that I'm having with them. If they send me to a psych and they're like, hey, you got to go talk to the psych doctor, is that the same conversations I'd be having with the clinical social worker? And in my head, just so we could picture this, right? Again,
yes.
very, very rudimentary here. I'm talking about like laying on the couch, talking about my feelings and why I hate everything, right? Like, break us down, what are we doing?
Okay. So the answer is no. The conversations will not be the same because with clinical social workers, we're focused on addressing the core issue. So that's digging deeper. We're unpacking, childhood trauma. We're unpacking a lot of stuff, right? And we're focusing on trying to find a solution to the problem. And this could take months. This could take years. With a psychiatrist, they're focused on trying to treat the symptom at surface level. So if a person has PTSD, for example, right, and they're having trouble sleeping, that's the symptom. But the core, the root of the problem is what the clinical social worker is going to be working with the service member. The psychiatrist is going to be giving them medication to help them sleep because of the trauma. So they deal with the symptoms. We're dealing with the core problem.
Oh, wow.
We deal with some symptoms sometimes, but like the psychological symptoms that need to be treated medically, that's what we send to the psychiatrist for.
So what I'm hearing is, when we talk about mental health in the Navy, we need a lot more clinical social workers than psychiatrists? Is that?
I'm not going to say that. I am not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. But I do feel that clinical social work is helpful because a person can be receiving services with a clinical social worker and get to a point where they've processed a lot of their trauma or whatever it is that they're processing to the point where they no longer need the medication.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's where I'm going. Like, I know you don't want to, but I will. It just seems like the clinical social worker is a lot more important, right? Like, we need, and again, if we have all this mental health problems in the military, which I'm on the fence about how much we actually have, right? And how much of it is some, like, let me just get out. And we're going to get into this. Let me just get to medical so I could, get more benefits. And I don't want to be at work because I hate it. So let me go just tell them about how much, it sucks and this and that. But whether that's true or false, if we had more clinical social workers processing those people, then it's like one psych doctor can write a lot of prescriptions, right? Or does the psych doctor have to see them also to write the prescription? I guess is what I'm asking.
Is it like a step one social worker, step two psychiatrist?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Not all the time. Sometimes the symptoms aren't grand enough for them to be seen by a psychiatrist. I mean, your symptoms have to be, hitting a certain level for them to make a referral and say, maybe you should see someone about getting medication. But just because they get a referral doesn't mean that the psychiatrist wants to agree to give anything at all.
Right.
They may say your symptoms aren't, it's not conclusive. I can't draw conclusions you need anything at all, even based off of what your therapist wrote in her notes.
Right.
So step one is social work. Step two might be psychiatrist, but they might get anything.
Okay.
So it's not always the case. And I wanted to address something that you mentioned just now about Sally being on a ship or a squadron, wherever they are, and they try to pull this whole malingering act, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which it's a real thing in sailors, Marines, whomever, they do all the time. But I remember being on the ship, and there was one particular sailor. She was infamous, and I had just got to the ship. And her name was floating around, and she's faking this, she's faking that, she's faking mental health. At the time, 2014, mental health was not a real thing in the Navy, and warrior toughness was not around at the time. And they were saying that she was faking being unwell because she wanted to get off the ship. And so I learned later, like literally maybe 6 to 7 years later, that she was not faking it because while we were dragging her name through the mud, saying that she was malingering, her mom was dying. Her mom was dying, and she didn't tell anybody. She was just going through a bunch of stuff. And
yeah.
I mean, I've never buried my mom. I don't know what that's like.
Right.
But her mom was literally dying, and she had a little brother. So she had to take care of him, think about him, and they made plans to bury her mother. And we're saying she's faking it, and she wasn't. She wasn't faking it. But because no one took mental health seriously at the time, no one really looked into what was wrong with her. But they did get her off the ship. They got her off the ship. They put her somewhere else that she could serve. She buried her mother, and I think she got out. So in hindsight, I was like, oh man, they were mean. Because she was going through it real. So
right. So I think what would you say? To me, that problem right there stems from a person not sharing, right? I think we could avoid a lot of mental health stuff if you told your LPO, if you told your chief, hey, this is what's going on. I know the feedback I'll get is I don't trust them. Okay, don't trust them. You're going to have to go through it by yourself then, and then things like that happen because you're not sharing anything for us to make things better before they get worse, right? Is that fair?
That is fair. That is fair. She could have spoken up. Now, there could be decent I'm leaving out because at the time I was a little E2. I ain't know nothing. I ain't get no updates about it. On the outside looking in, no one knew what was going on, especially these junior sailors. It was E4s and E5s talking trash.
Yeah.
Who said that she didn't tell the first class? I don't know.
Right.
But from my perspective, I knew what was going on with her. She was just always in a bad mood. I was told she was faking what she had going on.
Yeah, and all those feelings are valid. Like if you're going through all that, being in a bad mood, that I don't want to fucking be. Excuse me, I know we didn't want to curse, but like I don't want to freaking be here, right? Like, yes, of course you're not going to want to be there, and you're not going to be putting full effort, and you're not going to be all hoo-yah because of everything going on. But, yeah, we don't know. I don't even know what sailors you're talking about because you got there before I did. So, like, if we're not sharing that as service members, even me as a chief, right? I've gone into CMC's office, hey, bro, I need to talk to you. And yeah, what's up? Yep, close the door, and, hey, this is what's going on in my life right now. And so I did that when I checked into this command, right? Like, I checked in, geo batch, and I was like, hey, look, I don't want to be here. I did not want to, like, I have nothing here in Texas. There's no family. Like, this is my last tour. I'm going to retire out of here, and I got hosed into this, and my family's in San Diego. I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be enjoyable. Like, I do not give a shit about anything. I'm going to come in and do my work because that's what's required of me, and I'm going to do it good because I'm not a bum. But don't ask me to do a whole bunch of other stuff, man. Like, I'm not going to be doing that. And that's just from, you know, a very mild case of anything. You know what I'm saying? So, for the sailors out there listening, like, if you're not saying something straight up from the jump, you're limiting yourself in how much help we can get you and how quickly we can get you that help. Which then, in turn, I want to ask, like, what is the process for getting, I'm going through it right now, so I kind of know it, but, like, I'd like to hear from you, like, how should service members, sailors, go through or how should they ask for that help when they think they need that mental health help?
First, identify someone that they trust. That's the first thing that I would do. And that person may not be their direct supervisor, it may not even be their chief. However, because we use chain of command in the military, your chief will need to be notified at some point that you got stuff going on, right? But I would say find someone that you trust. Because not everyone's trustworthy just because they have a couple of strap-ons on their chest.
Yeah, of course.
Does not mean that they're trustworthy. Even if they have an anchor and star, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that they aren't trustworthy. So find someone at the command whom you trust with the information that can help you. Sometimes you can trust someone, but they don't really know how to help you.
Mm-hmm.
But asking someone who is resourceful, that can give you some resources as well, because the Navy has so many resources when you have stuff going on. But I also find someone you trust, find someone who's resourceeful, and then looping in your chain of command, even with that person you trust. You got to have conversations in the office. If you're not comfortable talking to your first class or your chief or whoever's in your chain of command. But that's how I would do, because I've done it before too. I've gone to chief, closed the door. My grandma was dying. And I told chief, I said, hey, when she dies, I'm sorry, but I gotta go. Whenever she's dying, I don't care if I'm on watch, I need to go. And crazy enough, she died while I was on watch. They relieved me of my watch, and my chief let me go and take care of that, and without being on leave. Okay, you're not supposed to do that. I was gone like 5. You're not supposed to do that, right? You're supposed to get special request shit. I was gone for like a week. He was like, just muster every day. You know, text.
Right. And that, you know,
like, oh my gosh.
Yes, and that will change a sailor's perspective, right? I don't know what your perspective is on the Rushmore, right? There's some not so great chiefs there down in that department. You already said you're at your lowest point. I believe it, right? Me, I was a little bit senior, so I didn't think it was that bad, but I could see where junior sailors did not like it. Okay, it was a very tough tour. We were very active. We were getting underway a lot. It was the grind of that most ships do. Okay, we had some captains on there that were not so great. We had one that came in that was better. You know, the whole myriad of everything going on there. But I'm pretty sure like that happened when you were at the squadron. Is that when your grandma died?
Yeah, I was on my squadron.
Yeah, so going from what you experienced at the Rushmore to the squadron then, and like a chief taking that kind of action, that could change your whole perspective on what you think of the chief's mess. You don't ever forget like how you originally felt, but then you're like, oh, like that's what a chief, that's what you guys are always hoo-yawing about. Shit like that, right? Like that. Mm-hmm. And so I see it, you know, there's a sailor that works here. There's very few sailors in recruiting that I work close to or near. So like the few that are there, I find myself interacting with them because I can't help but be a chief. And, you know, one of them brought a problem to me and I'm like, okay, well, who'd you talk to? And they're like, well, I really didn't talk to, like this person. And I was like, all right, well, they're not the final person. Like, what are we doing? Like, this isn't a them thing. This is other people get to decide this. Mm-hmm. So have you talked to CMC about this? No. I was like, cool. Shout out a text to CMC. I was like, hey, when you get in, this sailor needs to talk to you. All right, I'll be right there. I'm at lunch or something. And they're just like, and they were like very amazed by like, damn, really, Chief? I was like, yes. Yes, really. Like, you have this situation, and now I'm going to put you on blast, which you might not like, but we're going to force the conversation to happen. And by the end of that day, the thing that needed to happen happened, and she was good to go. Right? And I was like, what are we talking about here? So I'm a big proponent, and maybe because I'm 25% of a good chief, of like, if you're not sharing stuff with your chief, you're really limiting on how much we could go to bat for you.
That is 100% true. Like, I literally couldn't agree more because you don't say anything, they can't help you.
Yeah, closed mouth don't get fed. Yeah.
So pretty much.
So you are working for this nonprofit, right? Mm-hmm. You've got your bachelor's at this point. You're working for this nonprofit. What are you doing? What are you learning? Like, what's driving you through that before we get into the commissioning stuff?
Learning how to be a therapist. I think one of my biggest issues or my biggest challenges just in general is imposter syndrome. I dealt with it when I was active duty the first time, dealt with it while I was getting my education to be a therapist and everything. It's something that I can't seem to get away from. But I enjoyed it. Walking into it, I was like, I do not know what I'm doing. But once I got in there and started working with the kids, they don't know that you don't know what you're doing. And they don't know that you do that way. They don't know that.
That's funny.
So you have to remain confident in what you've learned, and then just apply it appropriately. Mm-hmm. So I actually didn't start working at the nonprofit until after I had gotten my master's degree.
Oh, okay.
So so I worked at a nonprofit only for about a couple of years, and it was the most rewarding working environment I've worked in because you get to see, I got to see my clients come in broken and hurt, and then I got to see them fly off with confidence, rebuild trust. I got to see them walk away with higher self-esteem, and it was nice. It was beautiful. So it was very, very rewarding as a therapist to see people come in broke, and then they leave healed or semi-healed, because healing sometimes it can take a while.
Yeah.
But I've gotten like letters and notes, and it's just nice. But the pay sucked. I'm going to be honest with you, the pay sucked. You're a nonprofit and a job. If you're not like the VP of that nonprofit, your pay is going to be straight up trash.
Yeah. So was that a lot of the motivating factor to come back active? Like, once you found out that there were social workers in the Navy and stuff, you're like, okay, I could continue to serve. I could continue to serve now on active duty again, doing this thing that I love and that I love to do. And was that a big motivating factor?
I'm not going to lie and say it was not. I'm going to be transparent and say, yeah. That was some of the reason why I came back active duty, because I think long term, I'm 31 now. So I have to think more long-term regarding a pension and retirement. And the nonprofit, in my opinion, was not going to get me where I wanted to be at 40, the same way the Navy can.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm going to have to, unfortunately, leave my babies, because my kids were 18 and younger, and get back to work with my sailors and my Marines, because I work with both sailors and Marines now.
Yeah.
So I have to sacrifice, but I feel it's worth it.
But I mean, it's one of those, like, the military, no matter what, is just a jump off spot, whether you do 20 years or 2 years or 4 years, whatever, right? Like, you're still going to be able to retire young if you want in your 40s and go back to that nonprofit stuff, right? Like, so it's not like you're missing out for a little bit of time right now, but in the long haul, like, and when you go back to that, you're only going to be armed with more knowledge, better at your craft, that pension, the disability, whatever else you get, you know what I mean? Like, so it all pans out like in a lot better way. I think a lot of people, we forget that. We think of, oh, well, you're a lifer, you're just brainwashed and this is all you want to do. And yeah, maybe that's a lot of it too. But, I retire in 2027. I'll be 41, no, 42 almost or something. Like, you know, everything after that is just kind of like icing on the cake of what do I want to do, you know. So I commend you for that. And let's not front. I've had other friends on here that are officers. Like, listen, like, yes, it's about the pay. It's not all about the pay, but if you look at a pay chart, it's better. And let's if it provides better for your livelihood, where you could still provide for others, why wouldn't we do it?
Yeah.
You know?
You just be transparent about that part. So everyone wants to live comfortably.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to live comfortably, and part of that means making a little bit more money.
Yes.
So it was a part of why I came back active. It is.
Yeah,
not one reason, but it's part of the little, box of reasons that I have for coming back.
Absolutely. So you get back. What was the? Well, you do ODS and everything. We don't have to get into that. I think it's pretty simple. People can figure it out. You're at where you're at now. You haven't started. I know you just got there, but you haven't started practicing in your military capacity yet, have you?
I have not. No.
So what are you looking forward to in like this aspect of your new era of like service, like knowing what you know as a prior enlisted and having lived that life? What do you foresee you handling in patients that you saw as a junior sailor, if that makes sense?
Yes. I would say this whole warrior toughness thing. I'm going to be honest and say this. When I first heard warrior toughness, I said, what is this? I was annoyed with it. I was so mad. I was like, today's sailors are not what they used to be, and they so weak now. I was upset, right? And when I went to ODS, they implemented that several times throughout our time there. And I finally understood what it is. And as a therapist, I felt really disappointed in myself. Because I said they're pretty much taking therapeutic techniques and they're implementing it into the everyday life of a sailor. These are things that people should have learned a long time ago. That's all that they are. Warrior toughness is literally therapeutic techniques or calming techniques to help people go from 100 to 0 very quickly. And it keeps you from doing things out of rage. It keeps you in like a calm state of mind. And if you exit that calm state of mind, it teaches you how to get back. And I was like, warrior toughness is actually pretty darn helpful. So I
really,
what I want to see myself do. Yes, I think it is. I thought it was fake and phony and whack and lame until I had to participate in the warrior toughness activities and ODS, and I said, wow. So as I get ready to transition into my role as a clinical therapist, clinical social worker here at the hospital, I want to help sailors and Marines kind of carry on the warrior toughness. Just like carry it with them, and not only be reminded. Like no one should have to remind you to implement warrior toughness. You should know how to do it on your own. Know when to implement it, right? It should be a daily thing. You can do it weekly. I mean, whatever floats your boat. But for me, it's just teaching people how to self-regulate more than anything else, because I really believe, I truly believe that emotional regulation helps prevent crime. If you think about it, it helps you. It keeps you from breaking rules and violations. Just think about it. When a person murders someone, usually what kind of state of mind are they in leading up to that? They're really angry.
Yeah.
But had you known how to self-regulate, you probably wouldn't have killed that person. So I think emotional regulation is what I really want to implement and help. I guess. Help people process a little bit more when they're in heightened emotions because master sergeant, somebody just pissed them off or whatever.
Yeah. So I had to bring up the warrior toughness because I think it's clown stuff too, right? I really yes. Like I'm again, I'm an old salt, right? Like I just don't. A lot of this stuff I don't get. And that again, that's a real reason why I know I have to. I have to retire. I cannot do this anymore. Like I'm not saying it's bad. It's just a lot of times when I read this stuff, to me, it's just kind of like, well, no crap, right? Like, what are we, like, duh. And it's like I didn't go to school to learn any of this. It's just kind of like I don't know where I got it from, but I've learned these things, right? So if I can, the warrior mindset, so it's like in the Navy, so designed to help every sailor in the Navy team take a hit and keep fighting to optimize their performance, to perform under pressure, and to recover and excel, whether in combat or in life. Right? I got the thing up here, people. I'm reading it. This is from March 2024. So is that what like you see? And I know you haven't been practicing, but I'm sure you've seen it with the kids that you helped out also. Is that like when they take a hit, they just kind of like, it's like, oh, we're done. Like I something bad happened and I can't recover from it. Is that a lot of like what you saw with those kids and what you kind of like think, again, looking at how you interacted with other sailors during your active service, right? During your enlisted service. Is that kind of what happens with us?
I think so. I wouldn't say no. Yes, it was absolutely ridiculous. We had an inspection. A lot of us failed on purpose. They fail you on purpose so that they can break you down to build you back up, right? They failed us on purpose.
Okay. Yeah. So they're doing that. And so in ODS, they're implementing these failures and stuff to do warrior toughness, to purposefully be like, all right, now we're going to do warrior toughness. And then like go through the warrior toughness thing. Like,
that's not necessarily how it happened. I was just giving an example.
Okay.
So we all have inspections in the Navy. It doesn't matter what part of the Navy you experience, you're going to have an inspection. They failed us like the first 2 weeks because they have to fail you. Or else you're going to think that you got it, like you can keep perfect. You got it going on. No. They failed us, and I knew it was coming because I went to boot camp. So when you go to boot camp to go to ODS, you're like, oh, okay, I've seen this done before. But for those who were civilians coming into ODS, they had no idea what to expect. So when we failed, I was like, okay, next.
Right.
When someone else failed, she literally, one of the officers, she cried. She went into the stairwell and she broke down. She was like banging her head on the wall. And I'm like, girl, I know you lying. I couldn't even believe her behavior, her response to failing. And I said, I had to take her to the room and talk to her. I said, hey, they failed you on purpose. It's a game, sweetheart. Everyone failed.
Yeah.
And her first reaction was to throw a fit and to cry. And I said, you cannot respond this way. Especially as an officer, you cannot do this. This will not fly when you graduate from here and go to your first command. Because if you do that, if you make one mistake, they're going to be like, she's not reliable. I can't trust her to lead. I can't trust her to give orders because when things fall apart, she's breaking down. No, it cannot be that way. So for some, it's needed. For people like me, I've never really used warrior toughness or whatever, which I was like you and was like, this is clown stuff until I actually experienced it. And I said, oh, for some, this is actually very helpful. For people like me and you, we don't really need it. But for people like that individual, she needs more toughness.
So why do we think like sailors need this outline program? I'll tell you what I think. I think it's like younger sailors that have not experienced much in life, right? They've gone through their young adult life or their childhood. Like everything was all good. Everything was easy. Everything was just right there for them, right? And so, and then they joined the military and I was like, oh crap, the military's hard. Oh no, like I'm going to get yelled at for not doing my job. And, some military things happen. And they lose their mind, and then we're like, oh no, they're losing their mind because they got yelled at, so now they need mental health, so now we need to implement warrior toughness as I look at it on the screen. Reflection, execution, commitment, preparation, and all that. Is that kind of like what you see happening? Again, and I want you to like look at this through like your enlisted lens to you as a social worker now, how you kind of go back and forth with that.
As you were talking, the thought just came to my mind about the generation. I know those conversations have a lot of people. The individuals coming in and individuals leaving the military. I think that's why there's so many shifts and changes with all this warrior toughness stuff, right? 12 years ago, warrior toughness was not a thing when I was in. But at the time, we had a different generation of sailors. Mm-hmm. So I feel as time continues, eventually want to have generation alpha, whatever that generation is, being in the military, we're going to be adding even more stuff. I found out recently that I'm allowed to call out. Did you know that was a thing?
You can call out?
Active duty?
What do you mean?
I can call out. I can call out twice.
Twice in what? What do you mean?
I didn't even know what to ask. I was so confused when I was there my first week at the hospital. And they're like, yeah, you can call out twice. E6 and above can call out twice. But after, I think you can call out 2 days in a row. I can't remember exactly what, but when he said call out, I just heard one right after that.
Yeah.
And I said, huh? I was very confused. And I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they implement this with sailors across the Navy as a whole.
So is this more of a hospital thing? Because I know, you know, the ex, she worked at Balboa, and like it's more of an officer hospital thing of like, if you can't make your shift, you can call out, but since, you know, it's a night shift or day shift, like you don't really got the chance to go to sick call to get an SIQ chit, so they just kind of rack it up as, oh, you're calling out. But is that what you're saying, or are you saying that they're more on a straight up, no, you just, oh, hey, yeah, I'm not going to make it, you know, like some civilian shit?
It's like you aren't feeling well.
Yeah.
You just pick up the phone. And I said, this is, and I'm not sure this is just one of the benefits of being at the hospital as an officer, or if that's something that the Navy is implementing Navy-wide.
Yeah. That'd be crazy.
But I thought it was just interesting. But
yeah.
Back to what I was saying regarding like generational stuff. I think in about 10 years, I know you will have been retired. I'm probably still going to be active duty.
Yep.
Things are going to have been changed again. They're going to implement something else. Similar to word techniques, but probably not it. But something similar to it.
Yeah.
Because sailors in the 80s didn't need this. That was not a thing.
Yeah.
So
they just got hazed, and everything got better.
There's going to be changes. Every decade is going to be a new change.
Mm-hmm.
Something's going to be implemented, added, or taken away. They've already given us new sex uniforms for the enlisted, for E6 and below. I mean, more is coming when it comes to change.
So with your work and warrior toughness, I'm glad you brought this up. Because I wasn't even thinking about warrior toughness at all, really. That's how much I do not apply this or talk about this at work, okay? Bad chief, I know. But, like, is this something that in your social work with the Navy that, like, you guys are pushing, or that you guys talk about how to implement it, how to train sailors on it, things like that? Have you had those conversations with other social workers?
I have not, actually. I have not. And they aren't really telling us, hey, make sure you implement warrior toughness when you're talking to your patients. That's not something that we do because pretty much it's backwards. I think that they've taken what clinical social workers have been doing and turned that into warrior toughness. So technically, we're already doing it. We've been doing it.
Okay.
They're just making it a Navy-wide thing because maybe they've seen how useful it is with the work that we do and the difference that it makes, and people who are seeing us, and they're like, hey, as a matter of fact, instead of keeping it, in the clinic, how about we make a whole program out of it and just tell the whole Navy about these therapeutic calming techniques and just call it warrior toughness. So therapists, clinical social workers are already using this technique anyway, as we see our patients. So, yeah.
All right, then I'm good then. I'm good. I got some time. I got an appointment tomorrow. So I'm going to blow their mind with my warrior toughness. So,
oh my gosh.
So I know you, one thing, I just had the episode that we put up yesterday, and I had texted you about it, right? Talking about healing, okay? And my homegirl asked me, like, is healing just an excuse for not taking accountability? And I think that, talking to her some more about it, she was talking with her girlfriends and stuff, I think that really relates more around, like, dating scenes and stuff like that, where everyone's out there saying what they're looking for and this and that, and it's like these we'll just say people are in their healing era, right? Like, how do you as a therapist, like, respond to that? And we texted a little bit, but, like, I don't know if you're able to watch the video, but, like, healing and accountability. I use ChatGPT a lot to get me smarter on it, but where do you kind of stand on that? And on that timeline of what is it? How does it help us? What are we really talking about there?
So I did get an opportunity to watch that episode. I thought it was very interesting. And some of it I was like screaming because I agree with some of the things that you said in there about healing. We use a couple of keywords like accountability. And I said, oh my gosh, that's it. So while I was listening to the episode, I made a couple of notes and everything. And there was 4 things that I kind of took note of that I wanted to share. Right? So healing and accountability, they're actually not the opposite. Right? They're not. Okay. Because healing without accountability is avoidance. And you mentioned that in the episode too. And I agree with that. So healing without accountability is just avoidance. You're just avoiding whatever the heck is going on. Accountability without healing is punishment. And then actually just 3 things, just those 3 things, sorry. Yeah. So when you're taking accountability without actually healing, it's punishment for the person. So we have to kind of keep that in mind with those 3 things.
So you saying if I'm not holding myself accountable, but I start holding others accountable, then I'm not healing anything. I'm just punishing them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I hope other people are listening to that, because I think that's very good, right? Like, again, that's where, again, I was talking to my homegirl about it, and it's just kind of like, I think it's an excuse. I think it's an excuse. I don't want to put like different blame game here, but I see it a lot coming from the lovely females out there talking about that they're healing, and then the gentlemen are like, okay, well, you're not healing from me, so I don't know what you're healing from, but can we move on, like in our new relationship or something like that? You know what I mean? So then it gets kind of fuzzy there of like, who are we talking about, like, needs to be healed? Who needs to take the accountability? Like, but we should only be talking about ourselves, right? Like, that's all we can control, right?
That is 100% correct. When it comes to healing is like a self-reflection tool. It's something that you do for yourself. Healing doesn't usually, typically, for the most part, it should not involve someone else. So when someone says that they're healing, they're trying to date, that sounds crazy to me. Why are you trying to date if you're healing? How about go heal? Healing is a thing that you do alone.
Interesting.
Unless you're seeing a clinical therapist. But
yeah.
That should be the only person that you're seeing. Really, you shouldn't be dating while you're healing. That sounds counterproductive.
So what if someone says they've healed, right, and now they've like transitioned into their peaceful era?
What does that mean?
I'm asking you. You're the. I don't know either.
A peaceful era? Can you answer that question? I'm not even sure what it means to go into a peaceful era.
I don't know either. I'm here for chaos.
Right. You have not changed. Oh man, a peaceful. I don't know what that means. I mean, are they trying to avoid drama? I would have to have somebody explain to me what peaceful era means.
So this is what I would guess. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like I'm at peace, but I wouldn't call it my peaceful era. I mean, it's just something that I choose to have in my life at all times, no matter what's going on around me.
Right. And so that's a problem that I think anytime you say era, that means that it's only it has a beginning and an end, right? So if you're saying, oh, I'm in my peaceful era, well, then that peaceful era is going to end at some time. Now, it might be like the Yin Yang dynasty of China in the last 2,000 years or some craziness. I don't know, right? But it still has an ending. So I kind of look in it anytime I see that or hear people talking about that stuff, it's kind of like, well, it's fake, right? One, you're being fake. You're using, and this is where you mentioned earlier, like either you have gone to therapy, which good for you, or you're just paying too much attention to social media therapy, and you're using therapy language that you hear on social media to justify yourself in not taking accountability because you haven't healed, you haven't done anything, you've now decided to punish everyone else, right? And with that punishment comes your peaceful era, which means like you're avoiding the conflict that you might need to have, right? But you're in your peaceful era, so you avoid, I think you just mentioned avoidance, right? So you're avoiding, you're not taking accountability, you're not doing anything, but you're using the therapy language. What is therapy language?
Therapy language are terms that are commonly used, like healing, boundaries, triggers, trauma, trauma bonding, using mental health disorders out of context, OCD, bipolar, narcissistic disorder. My thing that drives me nuts as a therapist, because I see it all the time. People use OCD out of context so much, but they're really talking about OCPD, but I can get into that later. Narcissistic, that one is one that really grinds my gears when I hear it. But therapeutic language like that, people often use because it sounds fancy and smart and whatever. But to me, they sound dumb anyway. Because I know what it really means.
Yeah.
And everyone's using it out of context. And it's so frustrating. But that's the therapeutic language that people continuously use incorrectly.
Which ones do you see used the most, or do you hear mostly used? And again, I think a lot of this is like social media driven, right? I don't really hang out with anyone in person that are using these terms, and I'm glad I don't. I'd probably have to remove them from any kind of circle of friends that I do hang out with. So I'm glad for that. But what do you see being mostly used out there?
Narcissism.
Yeah.
Narcissism. That one drives me nuts. Okay, so narcissism is a personality disorder, right? And narcissism, in order to be diagnosed with it, you have to have 5 out of the 9 characteristics.
Oh, right? Okay. There's characteristics to go with this? I like it. Go ahead.
Characteristics. You have to have 5 out of the 9 in order to be clinically diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. And so all of us as human beings, for the most part, at some point in our lives, may have experienced or expressed some of those narcissistic characteristics, right?
Okay.
So let's just say you're married to someone, and at the time, they are expressing 3 out of the 9. And so because they're expressing 3 out of the 9, you're like, my husband is narcissistic. No, he's not. He's just being a big butthole because I don't know why. Maybe because he's a butthole in general.
Yeah.
But your husband's not narcissistic. He's just not a good person.
Yeah.
But I've met as a therapist. I've only met one narcissistic person. She was 17 years old at the time. She was a teenager. And working with her was the hardest thing I've ever done because I didn't like this particular client. It was hard working with her because she met, I believe, 6 out of the 9 characteristics.
Woof.
It was crazy. And when people say, "Oh, my so-and-so, my best friend, my boyfriend, my mom, my dad, narcissistic," I'm like, "Oh, explain it to me." I'm like, I'm sorry to tell you this, but they're not narcissistic. They're just mean.
Yeah.
So that's one word, one mental health diagnoses that I see used out of context way too much.
Don't you think with a person that would be really actually be a narcissistic, that they'd have a difficult time interacting with anybody, right? Like that's a very severe thing from what I read and I have up on my other screen, right? Like if you have those 6 out of 9, 9 out of 9, that would be a very difficult person just to be around for anybody. Is that true?
Yeah, they are. They don't really have any genuine friendships like at all.
Yeah.
Narcissistic people are very selfish. They're very selfish. They do anything to get someone close to them for the sake of them coming up from it.
Yeah.
You know, they don't seek genuine friendships because if anything, they're trying to one up you on everything. But they're going to keep you close while they do it because perhaps you might help them get there. But they don't care about you and your well-being. So yeah, they don't have many genuine friendships.
Do we see that? Again, generationally, do we see that happening more in, I don't know if you've read like any research papers on this, like on the younger generations more than older generations?
Regarding narcissism or just like...
Or narcissism for now?
I haven't done much research regarding the different age groups and like generations when it comes to who is more prevalent in right now. So I can't say, actually. That'd be a good research.
Yeah. Or when you go for your doctorate, you could do that.
Not happening.
Hey, look,
not happening.
Chief is always helping you out. Don't worry about it, all right? Putting you on that path. All right, so other therapy language. What are some other... What is therapy language that you, before you knew it was therapy language, not sure if you heard any of it, or like in your time as active service, what's therapy language that you were hearing out there on the deck plates as you're going through your schooling and becoming a social worker, everything, that you're just looking around like, no, that's not it here. They're shippies. Like, what's things you heard in the uniform?
I was going to say PTSD. That's used out of context too. I don't even know.
Yeah, PTSD. That's a very interesting one, right? Because like a long time ago, PTSD was for those who were out on the front lines, shooting, getting shot at. Mm-hmm. And now, from what I see, is people are like, I have PTSD because I went to boot camp and I was yelled at. Is that wild? I think it's wild. Your face says it's wild. But like, what is really PTSD?
So going back to the episode that you did before this one, you touched on trauma, right?
Yeah.
And so trauma is used heavily as well. And people sometimes use it right, sometimes they don't. And the DSM is what we use to diagnose, right? Okay. And so the DSM changed what trauma is. And trauma is something that only you can define for yourself. I can't tell you what was traumatic for you. And you can't tell me what was traumatic for me. Right? Okay. It used to be like define this specific thing. They don't do it anymore. Okay. Trauma is trauma. If you feel that it is trauma. Right? So trauma is like shock or like it's because trauma is like deeply distressing or shocking anything, either physical or psychological, physiological, that overwhelms a person's ability to cope. It keeps them from living like a regular functioning life. There's physical effects from it. There's long-lasting negative effects from it. So it's mental, emotional, psychological. A lot of things go into trauma. There's different types of trauma. So there's not just one type. So you have acute trauma, which is like boot camp. Okay, that's acute trauma from a single shocking event. Car crash, a really terrible experience, a boot camp. Getting jumped or something like that. That's acute trauma. Then you have what's called chronic trauma. Chronic trauma is like from multiple layered, like multiple events that kind of start sometimes at any time. Domestic violence. That's repeated, right? It happens more than once. Bullying happens more than once. That's chronic trauma. Then you have complex. This is like multiple layered. So starts in childhood. Your mom abuses you, and then you're bullied, and then you're in a car crash, and then you go to war. That is complex trauma. You've experienced like many complex things that are traumatic in your life. Mm-hmm. But the long-term effects of that equals PTSD. So if a person is in the service, right, and from year 2 to year 18, they did 20 years. From year 2 to year 18, trauma, war, other things that happen in between that, that's prolonged. That's PTSD. Okay. But if you go to boot camp one time, get a bad experience. Okay, that's acute trauma. Or maybe you had a bad experience. You don't slap trauma on everything. You don't slap PTSD on everything. You just had a bad experience.
Yeah, and I think that's what we really get to, right? Is like when we talk about therapy language, is how everything we hear those titles and people start just applying it onto everything, right? It's like, oh yeah, that happened. I have trauma from that, and it's like. Like I think you summed it up best right there. Like, no, it was a crappy day. That's all that was. That was a crappy day. Like, geez, come on now. You had mentioned something else there. We're talking about trauma. What was coming through my head was like a trauma bonding, right? Which I have a very old episode where we talk about it. It's actually when I was on the LCS. I wasn't on Rushmore, but it was we went up to Seal Beach. We're doing on load. Like just pretty all around kind of crappy 3 days, 4 days up there or whatever it was. Had some flooding casualties. Like I had just gotten into my rack, and the radio was starting to. You could hear the radio, rah, 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 and I was like, "What?" Mm-hmm. And I turned up the radio. It was the DCA with my buddy with DCC, right? He's like, "Hey, is that my radio?" He's like in the shower. I'm like, "Yeah." I turn it up, and all you hear is sounding in security, flooding. But it's like you hear the rushing water and everything, and they're coming through gargle, but you hear flooding. So I was like, oh shit. So I grab it, you know, we ring the bells, everything like that. It got taken care of very quickly. But you could also tell, like, next morning at duty section turnover, I'm section leader, and I'm telling them, like, hey, great job, right? We responded. We did everything we're supposed to do, right? Like, people got down there quick. We got it secured. Like, we acted how we're supposed to act. But I was also making the joke of, like, that's good trauma bonding. Like, that is, like, this going through the repetitions of us training and then it actually happening makes us better, right? But I think a lot of times people use trauma bonding as like this horrible, and it probably is, you're the expert, not me, but like this horrible event that makes everybody close and it's just all bad. What are your thoughts?
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you something that's going to kind of change how you use the word trauma bonding moving forward.
Yes.
So trauma bonding sounds like exactly what it is, right? You bond because of trauma.
Yeah.
That's not what it means.
Okay.
Trauma bonding is a powerful emotional attachment between victims and their abusers. Almost like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, okay.
That's what trauma bonding is. And most people don't know that, and that's okay. But trauma bonding is, like I said, it usually includes a cycle of abuse. So have you ever seen a woman who is in a domestically violent relationship or marriage?
Yep.
And so she finds it very hard to leave her partner, right? And so she mistakes the abuse, the mistreatment, everything for love. When really she's doing it out of fear and confusion.
Mm-hmm.
So she stays with him. She loves him. She continues to serve him and is she tries to please him in every way so he doesn't beat her up. She's afraid to leave him, and she thinks that if she leaves him, she'll never find love like that again. Again, that's the fear and the confusion. That's a trauma bond. She won't leave because she's traumatically bonded with this man. That's a trauma bond.
So it's not duty section having a crappy duty day, and we're like, hey, we're all coming together.
No.
But could it be duty section coming together with me as their section leader? Because like every day I'm out there, sweepers, like it could be that way, right? Like I could have them bond to me as their chief because I'm the abuser.
Now you going to label as an abuser?
No, I use those are sentence enhancers. The camera's not on me, but like, yeah, no, but like that. But I mean, again, like I say that like half jokingly, but also serious. Where like sailors could bond to leadership out of the same, thinking it's good. It's really bad, but thinking it's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, you can still use the same words in the sentence, just not together. You can say he experienced a traumatic event and it resulted in bonding.
Oh yeah. Look at you.
Yeah, I mean, you can still use the two words in the same sentence, but the words together would not be, like the
definition of that. Yeah.
But I can definitely see how you guys bonded after that situation. Because I'm sure that was so scary.
Well, yeah, I mean, you said something else. It wasn't scary. Okay. It was just flooding. Like a crack opened up and started spraying out water. I wasn't even down there. By the time I got down there, it was secured. Okay, just kind of how drills go, or not drills, but live action stuff, right? But you were talking about trauma before, and or PTSD, and you were saying both of those, the word trauma, and you're saying, well, it has to be traumatic for you. What if there's nothing that's traumatic? How do we, they say, oh, well, was that, I don't know if it was what it was. It was a Saturday underway. You know what I mean? Like what?
Yeah.
How do we do that? Like, again, because through my lens, traumatic is like, well, I didn't almost die. Was it it was like you were saying, it was just a bad day. It was a really bad day. Like I know people will probably claim when we're out on deployment and we picked up all those Indonesians off those rafts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that was that traumatic?
For me, no. To answer your question and why you feel you've never experienced. So let me first confirm. Are you saying that for you, you've never experienced anything traumatic?
What I'm saying for me is that traumatic scale maybe is, I don't know if I should say wide or so narrow that I don't put a lot on it because it was just another day. Like,
I got
you know what I mean? Like, again, for others, you know, you're absolutely right. Only you could, like, your worst day is your worst day. And then if I shared mine, it might look like you not getting your Starbucks order correct is, you know, oh, that's nothing, right? It's just like when Mick Pond didn't say, at least you're not in a foxhole, right? Like, it's stuff like that. So it's like, it's just, I'm not saying I've never had any traumatic experiences. I'm just saying, so what? So what? Like, that's what it was that day. And then we keep going on, right? Like, what other choice do we have but to keep going on? So I'm kind of like mixed up, you know, like I'm just kind of mixed up in some of that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I love that attitude. What that can be reduced down to is called resilience, and you have a lot of it. And today's sailors don't have a lot of that, which is why they implement this, you know, toughness stuff.
Yeah.
Because these sailors are not resilient. One thing happens, and the whole world just falls apart.
Right.
You should be able to pick up and keep going no matter what's happening around you. And that's the kind of chief that you are. That's the kind of person that I am. And a lot of us, people, like, a lot of those who've been in for a while, they are that way. But sometimes some people aren't. So they label everything as traumatic because when that situation happened, they fell apart.
Yeah.
People need more resiliency. They need to practice being a little more resilient because things happen, things are going to continue happening. And you don't have time to fold and cry in the corner. There's no time for that.
Yeah.
You gotta keep it moving like nothing ever happened in the first place. Not saying don't pretend it never happened. Don't bury it. Address it later when you have time. But you gotta keep going. That's just straight up resilience.
Yeah, I look at like when we saved. I was like, I know we have the Marines on. They're doing a lot of stuff. There's the boat ops people. You know, I'm not. They've seen things a lot closer than me. I know people were throwing themselves out there to be involved in that, right? Which to me, it's always one of those weird things. Maybe it's a little narcissistic, right? I just use that on purpose. They're out there to try to help, to be in the way, so they can feel better about them doing something. Whereas me, it's like, that's not my job. I'm not medical. That's medical's job. If they need something, I will go out there and provide in how I'm being asked to provide the support. Whereas other people like put themselves in a traumatic situation and then they go back and they'll be like, oh my God, like they're so, and it's like, well, why'd you go out there then for, dummy? Like, you put yourself out there to go do that, you know. And there were some people that I felt definitely during that time that were doing that. Like, they're like, yeah, I'll carry a baby. Oh my God. Like, you want to carry the baby so you could get a photo op of you being a hero and then turn right back around and be like, oh my God, yeah, I never could get that. I had to carry this baby out of the water and I'll never get that image out of my head. Oh, shut up. Shut up. It's horrible. Like, no, that's
so disingenuous. I don't like
yes,
that kind of stuff.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I think that's all I got. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about or cover for the shipmates out there listening? You know, I'll give it over to you if there's anything we didn't talk about that you wanted to.
I think I kind of wanted to circle back to the commissioning part.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for anyone who is wanting to do that, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. I was supposed to commission maybe a year before. I commissioned last year. I was supposed to commission in 2024, but I put it on the back burner. I waited. I hung up that thought and waited until I could figure out why. Once I could figure out my why. My why, in my opinion, wasn't good enough. I had one reason why I wanted to do it, and that's okay. I need more money. That is not a good enough reason to commission as a clinical social worker to help people, more specifically sailors and Marines, heal. That's not good enough. So I was like, when I find my why, then I will continue. So if people are out there trying to just commission because they want the power, they want the authority, they want the rank, they want the bars on their chest, or they want to be saluted, those are not good reasons to commission. And if those are the reasons for commissioning, I don't want you amongst us as leaders. So
go ahead.
The reason is like, now I'm just saying a leader is, you're there to serve. Leadership is servitude. Not just clinical social work. Leadership is servitude, period. And if you're out there to be served, then I don't want you among us. So those who are looking to commission, make sure you know your why, and it better be legitimate. Don't be a clinical social worker trying to get an interview out of me, because I'm gonna be like, so what's your why? I'm gonna ask, what's your why? And it needs to be good. It needs to be solid. So when I was doing my interviews and everything, I was completely like, this position that you're getting from me, because I was like, I'm not gonna fake the funk in front of these, lieutenant commanders and these commanders. I'm going to be me, sir, or ma'am. This is the version of Alexis that you're getting in this interview, and this is the version that you're going to get when we are on a deck plate as well. So be authentic, be real, know your why, and let it be genuine. If you can't figure it out, don't commission just yet. The commission programs aren't going anywhere. Yeah. So if your why is not good enough, and you know it's not good enough, and you're doing it because you want applause, then just hold off a second and figure out what your why is, and then do it.
That's beautifully said. I could not agree more with that. I think that's with any leadership position out there, right? Whether I tell everyone, like, I just want sailors to have matching pants with their tops, right? So that means the magic pants, the khaki pants, right? Like, just get the magic pants. I don't really care if you go into the wardroom or you go into the mess. Just match, right? And having that why, like you said, is very important, and it helps you become that better leader, because you're not just doing it for yourself, right? And I think we've all come across different leaders out there that it's very noticeable that everything they do is for themselves, and it usually isn't a good feeling working with, for, or around those people. Alexa, I just want to say thank you again, right, as we wrap up here. It was a pleasure talking to you, catching up, and it was an honor serving with you, and it's been even more of a privilege to be a friend on social media with you and watch you grow up through the Navy, through all your time, and then to see your commissioning photos and everything like that. It's absolutely amazing watching sailors grow up to become the khaki-wearing officers or chiefs that they never thought or dreamt of or disliked, but to like just flip the table on everything, and you've done that. So big round of applause. I got a button somewhere over here that does that, but big round of applause for you. Okay. Very proud of your service, and it was an honor to serve with you back in the day, and still serving away from each other, but hope you go on to do great things. And man, it's just been awesome, and I look forward to hearing back from you. We'll have to do a follow-up like in 6 months or something, maybe, after you get kind of, after you, I don't think you're gonna just get jump deep in first, right, and go for it, helping all those sailors and Marines out there where you're at. So just stand by. We'll wrap this up. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Hey, don't forget, everybody, the views and opinions expressed here are only of me and my guest, and just be cool. Be cool about it, all right? We'll be all right. That's it. It was a great episode today. We'll see you guys next time on Bravo Zulu. Don't forget, leave a comment below. If you got questions, drop them, and we'll be watching out for those, all right? We'll catch y'all later.